All right, and we are live. Welcome to the BrainDrive weekly development call live stream. We do these calls every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, where we update on our progress from last week and plan out the coming week. Our mission here at BrainDrive is to build a superior user-owned alternative to big tech AI systems. I'm Dave Waring, and I handle the business operations side here at BrainDrive.
And I'm David Jones, and I handle the technical operations side here at BrainDrive.
BrainDrive is an MIT licensed user-owned AI system. You can see it here on your screen now. And the difference between this and a chat GPT is this is running on my local computer here. And all of my memory, my chat history, everything is saved locally here on my computer and under my complete ownership and control. And because BrainDrive is MIT licensed, you own your copy. So this is the definition of a user-owned AI system. And BrainDrive is built not only to help you own and control your AI system so the benefits compound for you, but to make it easy to partner with your AI system for AI self-improvement or to define and reach your goals. So as you can see when you log in here, you have these default areas where we believe if you have your finances together, your fitness together, your career together, and your relationships together, it's going to be hard to have a bad life. Also, these are four areas of life that everyone tends to focus on. So it's a great way to get to know how to partner with your brain drive, with your AI to define and reach your goals. That applies to anyone. And then once you get the flow of things, you can start adding new projects and working with your AI system to define and reach a goal across any area of your personal and professional life. So you can see here, I've been working on my fitness here, and I come in and my AI acts as an expert partner that helps me flesh out what it is that success looks like to me, creates this your goals document with a natural first step, creates a plan that I can follow that has granular detail in the near term and then more broad areas of focus that can continue to be fleshed out over the long term as I continue to come back and update my brain drive on my progress, and I can keep my goals and my plans up to date. So this is sort of defining what success looks like, creating a plan for reaching that goal, and then executing on that plan and taking the learnings and going around and around in that loop. That's what it takes for you to really be successful, even without AI. But when you pair that with AI, it makes that experience really magical. And this is also the foundation that you're going to need for AI to execute successfully on your behalf, because you need to define what success actually looks like in order for the AI to work with you to deliver on that. We have three different models. We think about AI models like electricity. You can power them with any model, and as long as you can swap the model in and out, the model really doesn't matter all that much. You're not locked into a model like you are with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or these big tech AI systems. So we offer the easy button, which is the brain drive model. This is just you add credits and you go. If you don't want to do that, we have Open Router, which offers over 400 cloud-based AI models through the Open Router API key. And this is the most popular option for accessing cloud-based AI models. And if you have a powerful computer, you can even run your brain drive 100% locally without even needing an internet connection by using local AI models from Olama. But the catch there is you do have to have a pretty hefty computer at this time in order to run local models successfully. But these models just keep getting better and better over time, and the consumer hardware also keeps getting better and better over time. So we do expect more and more people are going to be able to run their AI completely privately, even without an internet connection, should they want to, as we go forward in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dave to update us on the development progress from last week.
Okay, I think last week we were kind of finalizing on what did we even do last week? It's been a long week. I haven't really had a weekend on that one. So let's see. That's right. We did Tailscale. We got that in, and of course, I'm not running a desktop, so Dave showed that when he was sharing on the settings. There were two different tabs that are normally on. In fact, Dave, you just share your desktop really quick, and I'll go through on yours.
Yep, hold on one second.
There we go. Now we go to settings, BrainDrive, and we'll start with browser access because that's usually the pinnacle part of right there of and what browser access enables a user to do. You have BrainDrive set up. It is on your desktop, but let's say you want to start using it on your phone, or you want to use it on your tablet. You're sitting on the couch in another room, and this enables you to utilize all your memory and have the same piece of software running. However, now you can walk away and not be tied to your computer and still utilize your brain drive and all the data that you had stored up. Very friendly, and it just works through your phone, your tablet, and such.
As
But
long as
now,
you're connected to the same internet
correct, correct,
provider. So this is like when you're at home, you want to, you got your brain drive running locally on your MacBook or your Windows PC or whatever it is. Now you can access it from your phone or any other device that's on the same network if you choose the network.
correct, this is mostly for people that have like you have the ability multiple systems in your home. You will know exactly what we're talking about here, and then we start to get to okay. Now you want to access everywhere else. You want to be at a soccer game. You're watching your kids play soccer, and you're like, oh my god, I forgot whatever, and or you got a small project dealing with something, and you're out and about. Now you can access this anywhere and securely. And that is what remote access gives us. If you'd select that for me, Dave.
Yep. I was getting my
And
phone ready to show this as well because I have this set up. I have this, I've been doing work on this, so
yep,
that's why that's going to bug out on me, but I'll show you here. Let me just stop sharing for a second, and then I'm going to bring this up on my phone here because I've got my personal brain drive running on my Windows PC because I'm constantly,
yep.
as you just saw, breaking brain drive on my Mac as I test out different things on the dev version. So let me just get this up. Yeah.
Yes.
And
And this
so
will be the
this
good
is,
thing as we move out of development. There you go. And now BrainDrive's on his phone and able to do everything except controlling browser access and remote access. So if for some reason you want to let your wife on BrainDrive to for whatever reason, and you know what, she won't be able to control any of the access. It'll be secure. However, your BrainDrive will be completely accessible. You can talk, you can do anything that you would have done in an interview, a spec, a build plan. Let's say there was a goal that you were trying to key and you don't remember what was going on. You'd be able to actually validate that right there in the moment or catch the journal up. Say, hey, I
yep.
just finished, doing a 10-mile run, you know, do it in the moment. This is what it felt like. These were the strong, the weak points I felt, like that. And instead of waiting till you get home, you can actually capture it in the moment while it's fresh.
And everything's still running completely locally on the
Yep.
computer where your brain drive is running. And we use a software which is the most popular or one of the most popular softwares for doing this called Tailscale. It makes it really easy. You just download Tailscale onto your computer. You download Tailscale onto the phone or other device that you want to use your brain drive privately and securely from, and you log in to Tailscale with the same login on both devices,
Yep.
and it creates this secure connection that has been battle tested. This is
Yeah.
not a new or small company or anything like that, and it's free for individuals. So it's
Yep.
completely free, no strings attached. So it's really pretty awesome. And that, as long as your computer where your brain drive is running is live and on, you can access your brain drive anywhere you have an internet connection while
Yep.
still keeping everything locally. So that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and you can if you're on a private if you're one of those people who've heard all the scary things. If you're in a coffee shop, it still is as secure as can be because you're going through that tail scale tunnel. So don't worry about somebody in a coffee shop getting my information. It's not possible.
Yep.
Yeah, so and that's why we're using Tailscale because it's probably one of the most renowned and easiest at the same time. This is literally, it's like I never used it, and this was easy for me to implement. It took installing, signing up, and once I signed up, I can install and just use my same network. And then BrainDrive is just one click, turn it on, and it just runs.
Yep. All right,
Um,
great. And that really rounds out the last. We
yep,
have these sequencing docs. Other people may refer to these as like sprints. Maybe we should do that too. But basically, we've been working on, making sure that we have desktop and web-based access for BrainDrive as easy as possible. And we have that now. One-click download for desktop. You saw how you can access it from the turn on browser access from that desktop access. And then we also have Docker for developers that want Docker and to run BrainDrive in Docker. We have our BrainDrive models, which is that easy button. You just add credits and go to make it as easy as possible for people to power their BrainDrive. We have um, the model chosen for that. We're using
Yep.
GLM 5.2 right now. We found that to be the best combination of price and performance, and we only enable US based
Yep.
hosts for this, so everything stays in the United States. Automatic API key provisioning. It used to be that you would have to input an API key into your brain drive in order to use the brain drive models, which, if you're technical,
Yep.
not a big deal. Katie Carter, who's our non-technical persona that we identify as the ideal brain drive owner, kind of who we're targeting, that non-technical person that
Mhm.
wants to own their own AI system, doesn't really know what an API
Yeah.
key is. So Dave set it up so you don't have to, you still get the key emailed to you,
Yep.
but it automatically provisions, so you don't have to worry about that. Um, all of our specs and for BrainDrive itself and each of the individual pages were written, and then we wrote tests against those specs and started developing against those specs, which really helped us accelerate our development in our last sprint. And we want to get back to that discipline in the next sprint. Shared,
Yep.
this is Okay, right. So this was the build and the test harness, and then was actually getting the pages live and
Yep.
functioning. And then our model evaluations, our testing of models and how we evaluate models, that's done for BrainDrive, for the choosing the BrainDrive model, and eventually we can open that up to testing any model.
Yep.
Journaling, which is going beyond the your goals document, your goals document, your plan document, and now let's come back and update as
Yep.
we execute. That's sort of the final piece of the loop for BrainDrive is done, and as Dave just showed, Tailscale mobile access. So this is a big bucket of work. And I think we now have sort of the MVP, the base foundation brain
Yep.
drive experience is done and working. And we're going to start promoting it and getting people to help us test and figure things out, what's working, what's not for them as we go and resolve. And we're, actually in a great place to now have something that we're really excited to promote, but also that is just really the foundation for everything else that we want to build.
And I should state at this point, this does work on the Gemma 4 31B model. It
Yeah.
did everything that I wanted it to through the entire interview process. It updated my profile. It kept everything going in line. The 12B model, it had a little problem with the profile. That's when I realized the guardrails that we were designing last week didn't really kick in the way we wanted it to. So I backed off that, respec'd it out, and that is now between Dave and I doing drafts just so we can iron out exactly what we're trying to accomplish. And hopefully I see some light. This should work on a 12B model, which is under your 16 gigabytes laptop requirement. If I can get that to run there, this will do it.
Yeah, so going into like kind of what we're working on next. Um, so the first thing is we want to make sure that we finish off, the previous sprints or previous sequencing docs worth of work should always end with making sure that everything's polished and the documentation is
Yep.
done. So that's a big bucket of work right now because we really haven't gone and worked on documentation
Yep.
for a good little while. And so we want to get everything in place so that we have everything in BrainDrive documented, not only for external developers who want to build on BrainDrive, but also that's going to really help the AI execute on our
Yep.
behalf in building BrainDrive.
Yeah,
So
and those
that's a
were
big,
uploaded last week as well. I think for the documentation and professionalism, I outlined 8 different places where we need to go through.
okay.
And they were based on what you had came up with. I merely put them into specs to outline what we need to do to accomplish this, which you'll probably get into today after this call, and then I will start hammering it out. And it's really nothing creeped in that was like, oh my God, this is going to take forever. It was all
Yeah.
just dot some I's. If we were
So I
missing
would
some,
say since this is repo stuff,
yeah,
like just go ahead.
yeah, okay,
I'll add the specs to this, but
yep,
I'm not sure how much value I'm going to be able to add. Although just make sure that the README is updated because right now it still says there's only Docker and that type of stuff.
okay,
So
yep.
I'll take a look at once the README's um, revised, then I'll take a look at that. But everything else I kind of view as kind of developer facing, which
And last were over the weekend, I took the conversation that we had over what I was calling Spec Forge, where I did the UI for it, and really just hashing that down to a CLI. Because in my goal for as far as development goes, the CLI would allow me to, from my phone, I could do BrainDrive development. Oh my God, that will be a that I would love because I can just tell that into whatever or SSH into.
the only step beyond that is like putting a chip in your brain. So like while you're dreaming, you can continue to
Well, we're getting
program.
closer because once I can type on my phone, I can also speak then because
Yeah.
that's like to be able to take the broken TTS that sometimes comes with speaking, hash to fit, really rough that out using AI, turn it into a spec, then implementation, then prompts. Let's go.
Yep. And then there was some money audit stuff that
That is coming into the rehashing of SpecForge so that we can, instead of, because the money audit works perfectly the way I want it to. I don't want to butcher that anymore. So the first step of the new version of the CLI SpecForge is to take the report as is and go, okay, we've identified three places that we need to code for because there are issues. And it'll take the actual report as is and say, okay, we have three places. We're going to build specs off that. That starts the conversation between you and I, which I call the human in the loop. And then we go, yes, both of us go, okay, do it. And then the system takes over from there and builds out the implementation plan, the spec, the test plan, then codes it up, then tests it out.
right. So this would be whenever we move to a new sequencing doc, a new sprint. We want to make sure we're updating our build harness and our test harness for the work to come based on that.
Yep.
In the future, once the build harness and the test harness like fully done, these will just be like we'll add another module or whatever, but we're kind of building these as we go.
Yep.
So there's some just like we're getting this built at the same time and not wanting to wait until we have everything built to be able to build stuff. So we're kind of
Yeah. And
building the plane while we're flying it,
yeah,
basically.
and I'm building that spec right now because I know that, and for us, that's a requirement is we do spec first, then we code. So it stops me from any bad habit that I've adopted over the last 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that'll be done today because I was doing that this morning of respecing that completely out so that we can meet the next sequencing documentation of what we want to accomplish there.
Okay. So that's the first thing.
Yep.
And then once we've done that, we can move on to the work for the for the sprint. Okay.
Which
And there's already been a little bit of some stuff done on
yep.
this, but in the and we have the spec for this.
Yeah, as I said,
So
the specs have been done. We haven't really violated any of our practice. We're just doing multiple things. We're doing the test harness while we're doing, as you said, we're doing the working while we're playing.
okay. So the idea here is we have been able to get the interview spec and build process.
Yep,
This process you see right here going through, and you go through the interview, you come up with what does success looks like for me. I want to lose 25 pounds, go to 240 to 215 at about a pound or two a week while preserving and ideally gaining muscle. No specific deadline, but a sustainable pace for 3 to 6 months.
yep,
That's what I'm trying to do. And there's supporting goals here. This is where I'm at. What's in the way? What does good look like? The same type of plan that would put together if you had a personal trainer working with you on
yep,
this, a good one anyway. And I'm sorry, the same type of like aligning on what success looks like. Then the plan. Okay,
yep.
so My biggest thing right now is I fall apart at night. I'm doing great all day. So I really need to. And one of the reasons why I fall apart is I don't, one, I'm not focused on it. Number two, I don't have good stuff to eat,
Y-
at night for snacking.
Yep.
That's a great, I know I need to do it. It's easy. Let me get started. Let's do it. Okay. So, and then coming back and, you know, um, I've prepared chicken, to
Y-
eat, make sure I have enough, etc. Okay. So this process works with state-of-the-art cloud-based models and including GLM 5.2, which we found is way less expensive than the closed source models from OpenAI and Anthropic and Google, etc. And does a really good job.
But
But
31B did great too.
well,
It wasn't
but
as
okay, but it's cloud.
yep,
So it's not it's more private than if you're sending everything to ChatGPT because it's being routed to different hosts, through Open Router, et cetera. So it'd be very difficult to even know who you are with, this way, where it's very easy to know who you are if you're doing this with a ChatGPT or Claude. But some things, especially doctors, lawyers, those types of things, some people just really want everything to run 100% privately. And the way you can guarantee that's happening is to do it with a local model via Olama. Okay.
yep.
So this was working pretty well with a 31 billion parameter model on the same setup as we had for GLM 5.2.
Correct.
Okay. But a 31 billion parameter model, you're looking at $2,500
Yep.
plus probably
Yes,
for
yes.
a Windows with a heavy GPU, it's called, or a Mac, MacBook Pro, but not even like the entry level MacBook Pro, like one of the
You'd have
higher
to be the
level.
30, 32 gigabytes of RAM MacBook
Right.
Pro.
Okay. So, you're looking at above 2 grand. And unless you're a developer, or a graphic designer or someone that does video, like you really don't need a laptop with that much RAM to do it, to do your work. So you probably don't have it. So we're trying to get down to this 16. 16 is like, okay, I have a serious computer here, but
Yep.
it's not like something crazy. Okay.
Yes.
So it works locally with a 31 billion parameter model. Excuse me. And that is purely text-based instruction. So there's no code. Everything is just it's in the prompt files, which is really
Yep.
cool because you can see them all.
Yep.
So you can go in here and you go show advanced. Here's my instructions for how the
Yep.
fitness agent runs. Here's the instructions, and it's transparent to anyone, regardless of technical um, ability, what's happening here. You can edit these things and customize how your brain drive works specifically for you. And you can diagnose things a lot easier,
Yep.
of what's happening. However, if we put our hypothesis was if we put a little bit of code in here, nothing crazy, but just like some gates, like, make sure you've completed the interview and written the your goals document before you move to the plan. Make sure you update the journal. Make sure you update the owner profile, which is sort of the cross-cutting context for your brain drive, that we might be able to get this working on a smaller model. That's what Dave's been working on. What have you found?
The it does. Okay, first of all, the personality, as anybody's ever played with the cloud models versus the local models, you do start to lose a little bit. The texts are not as verbose, of course, and stuff like that. But I did the same interview, the same problems, and it came up with basically the same solution, and that's accurate. This is what your plan should be if you want to do XYZ. And I did both fitness and I did a relationship one. So I would have two kinds of different interview processes with two different kinds of pieces of data. And in both cases, it did really well. It gave me the same kind of good advice as to what you should be doing. Don't argue back with your wife and all like that. It was kind of funny about it because I was being funny during the interview process. But at the end of the day, where it started to splinter was the 16 or the 12B model doesn't have the longer. carryover as far as the product. It starts to lose a little bit, and it usually lost in when, hey, I need to update the profile because I just told them something about me that's not going to change readily. I have a wife, and it didn't go into the profile and say, okay, we don't have this information here. Let's update it. And that's what
But
I
it did
found.
the plan, it did the goal, the plan, the
Yep.
goals of the plan, the 12B model.
Yep. It did all that. It only broke down on the profile being updated and I didn't test for the next part. Did it read the profile to begin with? I didn't really get into that. Once I seen the breakdown there, I knew that's where the model was falling short. That's the part where we
And
really
was
need
that
to
was without doing anything, or that was
anything.
after?
That was nothing involved. That was just pure local. Because the
So you
first
just used the local model with BrainDrive. You didn't add anything else in.
Correct. Because I found that the plan that we had for guardrails wasn't even kicking in. So that's why it was like there was a complete wash of what it was trying to do. And
Okay.
we went back to the original the spec that you provided me from your conversation with Claude and BrainDrive and redid another spec to iron out those issues and address the whole this you're a model and you have more work to do, how to try to catch that and say, look at the profile. Did you update it? Did you do this? Were you provided information that's not readily, changed easily, such as, it's like, hey, I'm wearing a blue t-shirt. I know that's going to change. However, on the other side of,
Is
hey,
this are these prompt changes or code changes?
these are all prompt changes. We have a little work to clean up on the prompts level, adding a little verbiage to kick in and say, hey, make sure, try just to iron out some wording, stuff like that, and then a few little coding changes, but it's mostly just prompt cleanup.
Okay. What would be the coding changes?
The coding changes is just gatekeepers of does it see, hey, we have to make sure we do address the profile, those kind of things. Those basically small little issues, nothing major. And I think that was probably the bigger attempt there was keeping this as simple as possible of what we're
Okay.
trying to accomplish.
So
And
where are we at with all this?
that spec was uploaded yesterday morning
And
on a
that's
weekend
for
for you to take a look at, have a
okay.
conversation and
So
such
we'll
like
take
that.
a look at that at the
Yep.
after this call. Okay.
Yep.
All right, great. Um,
Um,
all
yeah,
right.
so that puts me, yeah, that was my main work I did from Friday over the weekend, getting it done. Oh, and then of course, we'll conversation afterwards, but the $1 key thing.
Yes. Okay. All right, perfect. So I think that's enough for the like I think if we can get for this week, if we can get um the documentation cleaned up,
Yep.
if we can get the uh money eval process integrated into the build harness
Yep.
and the test harness. Um, and if we can get the local model stuff worked out,
Yep.
that would be great.
Yeah, and I think we're poised to do it. We have all the specs for everything there done. It was just now it's just pressing button. I believe the I'll call it the professional stuff, as you said. If you wanted to go through it, you could, but that's all up there, and that's not really your stuff. Other than the README file, I'm almost done with the spec, so that'll be up there today for the money audit and the new spec forge, and then the local has a new spec up there ready for you to take a look at. And then the email, the $1 thing, also sitting up there. So we're
Okay.
after this, we can have a really long conversation, figure out where everything's at, and like I said, we're ready to start working.
Okay, good. And the $1 thing is we want to see if we can give away $1 worth of API credits to people because you can really get a long way with just a
Yep.
dollar, surprisingly, on this. And just, get people able to, especially people that are helping us beta test and everything. There's some security issues with that, so we're not going to discuss that
Yeah.
live, but that's what we're talking about
Yeah.
there. So that sounds like a great week to me. Anything else you want to talk about before we sign off?
Other than if we can get done with all this early, we'll walk right into hands.
Yes. And hands is the agentic capability of
That's where we
BrainDrive.
get MCP involved and start looking at some fun stuff that, hey, that's
Yes.
when this stuff really starts to take off.
All right, very good. That'll be exciting for next Monday's call. And with
Yep.
that, as we talked about at the beginning of this call, our mission here at BrainDrive is to build a superior user-owned alternative to big tech AI systems. We do these calls every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, live streamed on YouTube, and then post the recordings over on our forums over at community.braindrive.ai. And these calls, as well as the forums, are open to anyone who would like to participate, and we'd love to see you there. And with that, we'll see you next week.